Good morning. Day 1000. If I mess this up one more time, it's becoming really difficult to do these. It's day 6138. 32 more days left with students. Um, I was able to get a lot done yesterday. I almost got all my teacher conferences done. I'm pretty close to having those finished. So that'll be my last round of teacher conferences. Last fire drill. Well, take that back. Next to the last fire drill, we got to have a fire drill in May. So I got that knocked out of the way. And I got to thinking before the faculty starts watching this, I kind of feel bad yesterday about calling the teachers thieves, and I compared them to hyenas there at some point. So I should have probably used some other kind of words like scavenger Americans, or that they were opportunistic, something like that, other than saying they were thieves. So it's my bad with that one. And in their defense, because I was not any different, but in their defense, we didn't get any supplies back then, and we didn't make any money. I think my first year I made about right at $20,000. So you couldn't buy materials for your class, or what. I guess you could, but most people couldn't afford it. But anyway, we were always on the lookout for materials that we might be able to use in class, because we didn't want our children in our class to be left behind. So we, just wanted to take care of them. So, I understand why they did it. Now, I was talking about teacher education yesterday, and how that, our teacher education was a lot different back then. I went to University of Georgia, and the first class that I took for student teaching, I remember going in there, and the guy asked us, the professor, there were probably like 30, 40 people in there, and the professor asked us why, wanted us to go around at the beginning and tell why we wanted to teach, which I thought was kind of weird, because we'd been in college for 4 or 5 years. Now we're just all of a sudden trying to figure out why we want to teach. It's a little late for that. But anyway, he asked us why we wanted to teach. And, we went around and we all told, why we wanted to teach. And at the end of it, he looks at us and he goes, I've been teaching here 20 years. I've been a professor here 20 years. He said, and this is the first time that one of my classes that some redneck didn't stand up and say, I want to teach so I can coach football. And me and the redneck sitting next to me and the other redneck. Well, actually, I'm not really a redneck. I consider myself more of a hillbilly type than a redneck. But anyway, me and the redneck sitting next to me had been talking about football for the like 30 minutes before class started, because we all got there 30 minutes early, because back then you got to places on time. And none of us had cell phones, and we weren't taking selfies, and we weren't, we got there early, we waited for class to start. But anyway, so me and the redneck next to me were talking about football and where we were going to coach and what we were going to do. And we just looked at each other like, I'm glad I didn't say anything about football, because this guy obviously hates that. So anyway, then they assigned me to a school. And if you know anything about Athens, around Athens, it's really rural. It's out in the country. And so they assigned me to this school that was nearby, and it was a small school, out in the middle of nowhere. And so I got there the first day, and the guy that was my mentor teacher, and it was his last year. He was getting ready to retire. It was like his last year teaching, believe it or not. So I go in, and he starts giving me his roles for his classes, and it was all on, of course, we didn't have good computers and stuff, so it was all on a grade book, and it had all these kids, listed on it. And the old grade books, you could put about 60 names in them. And he had about 60 names, and he had about 20 of them. Well, I'll take that back. I'm exaggerating. He had about 40 names on every one of them, and there would be like 10 of them marked out. And I asked him, I said, why are these people marked out? Were they just in your class first semester or something? He goes, oh, no, those are all the people that quit. So I learned real quick that there was a pretty high dropout rate, and that wasn't good. But he was right. There were a bunch of people that would quit. And I'll tell you the other thing I learned from him that I forgot to mention yesterday, that was real important, very important back then. we had been in school and they had been telling us all these things that we needed to do and all these great methods of teaching. And so after about 2 weeks of class, I run out of paper, the paper that he gave me. And I went to him and I said, hey, Coach, I need some more paper. And that guy looked at me like I had three eyes. He was like, you need more paper? What do you need more paper for? He said, you just used all my paper for the whole year. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, that's all the paper I get. He goes, what are you doing? And he didn't even know what I was doing in his class. He goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I mean, if I do something, I make a copy of it and I give it to the kids. He goes, don't give them anything. Don't ever give them anything. He said, make them copy it. He goes, make 30 copies and then take it into every class and give it to them and make them copy it. And then take it back and give it to the next class. And when you give a test, make your test, make a copy of it, and just use it every year. He goes, I only get so much paper. He goes, I don't have any more paper. You used all my paper. And we had to go around the school, and he went to all the other coaches because they got paper. Of course, they didn't use it because it's like PE, the weight training and stuff. They didn't use paper. So we had to go around and get paper. And we finally got enough paper back, to where he could make it the rest of the year. And he was like, don't you dare use don't you use all my paper. And I don't even think we had I guess there were office supply places back then. I didn't pay attention because I was in college. I don't even know if you could buy copy paper, And in some of the schools, they wouldn't even give us paper. Like you had to go and write a note and put it in the secretary's box and say, could I have 15 copies of this by Tuesday? And they wouldn't even let you copy them. So anyway, that was very important. That was a big deal to him. He almost had a heart attack in his 30th year of teaching because they used all his paper. But anyway, I hope I get all my conferences done today. That's my goal, get all my teacher conferences knocked out. And we'll see what else happens. I'm sure something exciting will happen because something exciting happens every day. So you guys have a good day.